I have a huge prediction for All in Texas. I think I have a couple of matches figured out, including the main event. I'm Ben Allison, you're watching Allison Analysis, and here are my 5 key findings from last night's episode of All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite. Very quickly before we do get into the top 5 key findings, please leave a like, guys. If you leave a like, that pushes this video to more people, and that really helps us out. Thank you. In at number 5, that was one of the best go-home angles that AEW have ever done. We kicked things off backstage with Swerve Strickland looking for Jon Moxley, and Hangman came out, got in his face, and that moment the two shared was brilliant. Security guards were holding them back, and that's when Swerve said, "I know I deserved it." Hangman said, "You deserved it." He said, "I know." That was gold, and honestly, you guys know how much I love that storyline. It is arguably my favorite storyline in the history of this company, and I'm glad they never really properly let it go. Like, they both move on to other things, but they always return to it in some capacity, and these little backstage segments they've been having, I do really enjoy them. Now, some people are predicting this is going to lead to them tagging and then being in a tag team together. I don't think that's the route they're going to go for, but more on that later on. At that point, the Death Riders took Swerve Strickland to the ring, put some glass on the mat, and then powerbombed him into it. It was brutal, but Swerve got up and he was smiling to close the show. A brilliant closing shot. Now, if I did have a little bit of an issue with this, it would be the fact that I didn't really like the fact that the Death Riders left the ring on their own. I would have preferred it if, like, security started coming out and then they just retreated, because they saw that. Or even that Cope came back out and they started retreating because of that. I mean, maybe you could justify that the fact they injured Jay White earlier in the night put people off coming out to try and help Swerve. But even still, I don't really know. They're still a little bit inconsistent when it comes to the Death Riders. But there is no doubt that since Swerve Strickland has entered the storyline, it has gotten 20 times better. And I am genuinely excited for Moxley versus Swerve this weekend at Dynasty. In at number 4, MJF will help the Hurt Syndicate at Dynasty to try and prove himself. After Lashley said to MJF, "We don't need you," and MJF said, "All right, I understand I haven't proved myself," it became clear to me this is obviously what they're going to do, isn't it? Now, let's be real. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin shouldn't really need help to be able to beat Big Bill and Brian Keith of the Learning Tree, but I'm guessing Chris Jericho is going to try and get involved or something, and that's when MJF will come out and even the odds. I don't know, but it's clear that's what they're going to do. And it's also clear that eventually MJF is going to betray them. I'm guessing we're going to have Bobby Lashley versus MJF at All In. It's all rather predictable, right? And it kind of does follow the same script that all of these MJF faction storylines do follow. It is repetitive, but at the same time, it is always entertaining too. And it's 1,000 times better than that Adam Cole and MJF storyline, which I'm just so glad we've left in the past now. But talking about the Adam Cole storyline, this isn't a separate point, but I just want to really quickly touch on it. I do think they should have shown some sort of video package between Adam Cole and Daniel Garcia, because that storyline has been entirely on Collision, which is actually something I really like. I like the fact they are having exclusive storylines. But we are now only days away from the pay-per-view, so showing a few-minute video package highlighting that feud, what's happening on Collision, will not only build the feud for the pay-per-view, but will also potentially encourage some of the Dynamite viewers to go over and watch Collision on a weekly basis as well, make it feel like they're missing out something by not watching it. In at number 3, are we getting closer to intergender matches in All Elite Wrestling? Tony Khan has always been clear on his stance towards intergender wrestling. He is against it. And a lot of key sponsors for All Elite Wrestling do agree with him. They are against it as well. And that's why WWE don't do it, right? Sponsors don't like it. The idea of men hitting women, obviously it's, fake or whatever, but they don't like that. But it is something that a lot of wrestlers have always wanted to do. There's a reason why a lot of wrestlers do it on the independent scene. But the question is, was Moxley hitting a Death Rider DDT, a paradigm shift, on Willow testing the waters, or was it just a one-off for a storyline? Personally, I do just think it was a one-off, right? But if they are going to test the waters some more and maybe try this out, maybe do Moxley versus Willow, which a lot of fans want to see after last night, They do just need to be careful and make sure everybody involved does feel comfortable with it. I do think it's going to be a debate which is probably going to become a little bit more prominent in the next couple of years about whether or not we do go more towards intergender matches or keeping stuff separate, because a lot of wrestlers behind the scenes are pushing for it, and that is quite interesting. But before we get into the top 2 key findings, if you guys are a new viewer, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out massively, it really does. We do 5 to 10 free videos every single week, and in addition to that, we have a live daily stream every single day, 364 days a year. We do take Christmas Day off at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. You guys can comment live throughout, and we always show the comments on screen as well. Thank you, guys. In at number 2, I predict Thunder Rosa will win the Owen Hart Women's Tournament. Now, there's a few reasons why I'm going to pre-predicting this match. The first one is I believe Mercedes Moné and Athena will both win their first round matches and then face off in the semi-final, where Athena will defeat Mercedes Moné. But because I do think that's going to lead to Athena versus Moné at All in Texas, that means I do think Athena is going to lose in the final, which means it's going to be somebody on the left side of the bracket who does win. And there's really only 2 possible candidates, and one of them is Chris Statlander and the other one is Thunder Rosa, and I do think it's going to be Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa has been heavily involved in this branding for All in Texas, and she's also made it clear she wants to be involved in a championship match at the event. And a lot of people were predicting Mercedes Moné versus Thunder Rosa months and months ago when she originally first said that. But now I do think the Toni Storm match makes a lot more sense. It kind of did feel a little bit random a few weeks ago when they put them back in a tag team together once again. So I do think that was kick-starting a big storyline between the two women heading into All In. And I'd definitely be up for this, right? Firstly, Athena versus Moné, I'd be really, really excited for. But also Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm in a stadium in Texas. Yes, please, that would be a banger, no doubt about it. And in at number 1, I have a huge prediction, and that is that Moxley will defend against Hangman Swerve and Will Ospreay at All in Texas. I believe that Swerve will lose to Moxley this Sunday at Dynasty. And at this point, Swerve will enter the Owen Hart tournament as the wild card, meaning he will face Hangman in a first round match where I predict Hangman Page will get the victory. On the other side of the bracket, I believe Ospreay will go all the way to the final where he will face Hangman Page at Double or Nothing. And at Double or Nothing, I believe Swerve Strickland is going to cost Hangman Page, reluctantly cost Hangman Page, almost subconsciously cost him. He will regret it instantly, right? Because we are seeing a little bit of a dual side to Swerve right now. We saw it last night when he said, I know I deserved it. And I think the second he does this, he's going to be like, oh shoot, but I don't think he's going to be able to help himself. And therefore, Ospreay will have won the Owen Hart men's tournament, but there will be a huge asterisk next to it. So I don't think we're going to just be getting Moxley versus Ospreay at All In, but instead it will be a 4-way with all 4 of those men involved. And I do predict we are going to see so many marquee one-on-one matches at All in Texas, such as Omega, Okada, Moné, Athena, Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa. So I think seeing a 4-way in there for the Men's World Championship would break up the card a little bit. And I think, 4 big stars like this, it would be a mega match. And I know I have been wrong with quite a few multi-man matches I predicted recently, especially Reigns versus Punk versus Rollins versus McIntyre. But I will say on that point, I predicted that when nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, was considering Reigns versus Rollins versus Punk. So the fact that I called 3/4 of that match before anybody else, I do think I deserve a little bit of praise for that, right? I don't think that can be a full L, right? But I do know my predictions are hit and miss. I know it. But I do think this is what they're going to do. And I'm really getting excited for All in Texas. And weirdly, I'm more excited for this than I was for any of the All in Wembley events, despite the fact I was going to those. I don't really know why. That's a little bit of a weird one, I guess. But for just some reason, I am. But anyway, I really did enjoy Dynamite. I thought it was a brilliant way, a brilliant go-home show for Dynasty. It wanted, at least for me, it wanted me to, go and buy that Dynasty pay-per-view now. I want to see what happens on it. The cliffhanger at the end was brilliant as well. It was just a thoroughly entertaining episode. So you know what? I'll give it a subtle round of applause. But what did you guys think of the show? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!